This episode is sponsored by DroneWorks Ireland, your go-to place when it comes to buying a drone, repairing a drone, and also when you need professionals to carry out any aerial work you may need. Check out their website at www.droneworksireland.ie. You're welcome along to the Maroon and White pod. So unfortunately, it was disappointment for Loughrea in the All Ireland Senior Hurling Club final at the weekend. But the management and people from Loughrea and the players can be very proud of their efforts going all the way to the All Ireland final. But just coming up against a really impressive Ballygunner team who had too much for them on the day. Ballygunner winning out 120 to 114. James, obviously disappointing for Loughrea, but to get to a club final, it's obviously a special year, and I think we all probably seen then on Sunday how impressive of a team Ballygunner are.
Yeah, look, I suppose from Loughrea's perspective this week, they're probably really disappointed. They went up there to win the match. I think overall, Ballygunner showed huge experience. But at the end of the day, look, Loughrea 16 months ago had no county final. They've two county finals. They've been in two All Ireland semis. They learned from last year. They came back this year. They got it done. Um, Against Neil, and then they rolled into the final. Overall, I think performance wise, they would probably look at it and say, okay, there were certain things we could have done better. And maybe the second half, I suppose it probably petered out a bit in the end. But again, as whatever to be said about Loughrea's performance, I think Ballygunner managed that quite well. And I think they really showed their experience. They battened down the hatchets when they needed to in the second half, and they just they got the job done. But look, overall, I think Loughrea will look back in a couple of weeks and say it's been a really good period of time for the club, and they're definitely on the right track. And they're a young team, and they're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon.
Do you think they will look back at it with a small bit of regret? Naturally, I think you probably do when you lose a final, but you look in the first half in particular, Anthony Burns has a goal chance, Stephen O'Keefe saves it, Vince Morgan sort of has a goal chance. Now, maybe it's from a tight angle, but Stephen O'Keefe saves again. Again in the second half, Stephen O'Keefe races out. And unfortunately, when you see a goalkeeper get man of the match, like he did make some great saves, but there was definitely opportunities there for Loughrea.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I've watched the game a couple of times since. I think from Loughrea's point of view, just on the goal chances, I think yes, there was opportunity there for them, but in fairness to them, on both occasions they actually got a score from that play, so they got a
Yeah.
point each. Anthony Burns took a goal chance, took his or went for his opportunity. They recycled it, turned it over, and he scored a point. From Darren Shaughnessy's point or Vince Morgan's point of view, they turned it over again, and Darren Shaughnessy got a point. So I think from them 2 points of view, yes, they would be disappointed maybe they didn't get one, but they did get a score out of each time. I think overall, from an opportunities and conversion rate, you're looking at less than 50%. They created 19 scoring chances, they took nine, okay, in that first half. Of that, they hit eight wides from play. No, six from play and two from frees. So like especially there was a couple of opportunities there, especially in the first half. I think it was the 19th minute. I think it was around the 19th minute. There was a huge turnover. Loughrea got in on top of Ballygunner. They turned over a ball, and Came and Killeen had a shot on goal, and it just barely went wide. The crowd kind of got into it, but they were a bit deflated then from that, like afterwards, and there was a quick restart. It went along a 1-2 with O'Keefe and the full back. He went long. Pat Fitzgerald touched it down, and it's a score. Do you know what? And it was them little kind of momentum shifts during that first half that was probably it was kind of never letting them get into their flow. And like at the end of the day, like when you talk like again, Ballygunner, they scored 12 points. They had 16 scoring chances. Do you know? So their conversion rate was much higher. And I think from that point of view, they set down a template for the second half on how they were going to go about it. Loughrea had 53% of the possession and their scoring efficiency was down. So I think that's where the big disappointment would be. They dropped too short. Ballygunner got a score out of one of them, straight away. And when you have a guy like O'Keefe in the goals, he is going to pick lads out around the field. So I think from that point of view, yes, they had their two goal chances. They did get two scores, but it was the wides that kind of would have just never let them get into their groove. And if they went in maybe at half time, maybe 3 points up, if they got half of them 8, 10 chances, like they go in three or four up, it gives them a bit of cushion. So I think they'll look back and say, yeah, that's maybe where we could have found the improvement.
We're joined now as well by Willie Maher, National Head of Hurling. Willie, we're obviously just talking here about the club final at the weekend. Even looking back to that first half when Darren Shaughnessy gets the goal, probably just showed the team Ballygunner where when they're able to respond straight away immediately and get a few points and go in by a point ahead at the break.
Yeah, no, I think, look, first off, congratulations to Ballygunner, outstanding club, and I think it's the second All Ireland to put their six Munsters and multiple Waterford championships, a testament to the club that they are. To your point, I think, yeah, Loughrea, I suppose, will remove a few missed chances, particularly in that first half. Those two particular instances were shots from 20 yards on Stephen O'Keefe, and I heard James mentioning there. Like, he's not beaten from 20 yards with shots, particularly in big games. So they're the chances, they're the decision making pieces that you need to go with you when you're playing Ballygunner and all Ireland. I thought, yeah, Ballygunner were well worth the victory, but Loughrea will have a couple of, I suppose, regrets around decisions, particularly in that first half, that could have resulted in goals.
Just with that as well, James, I think there was a free from Tiernan Killeen as well at one stage in the second half, and there was an opportunity there to bring it back to 3 points, and it just tailed wide, and unfortunately, then Ballygunner were just able to finish that bit stronger.
Yeah, and actually Jamie Ryan won the free, and he actually had scored a really good point out on the sideline just before that. And again, it's back to just the point I made earlier. It's a momentum at this stage. You're looking for a bit of momentum, and I think, look, frees are not. I was never a free taker. They're not easy to take. But yeah, I think Tiernan would probably be very disappointed with that. He took a really good one towards the end of the game out on the Hogan stand side and he nailed it. I think that free though was probably one that he'd probably look back and say, Jesus, what could have happened if where we were we had kind of turned, maybe were they turning a corner, and getting a bit of momentum. So look, at the end of the day, it went wide. Ballygunner went down the field and they picked up a soft free, I think, from that puck out. I think it was down on Kevin O'Mahony or Pádraig O'Mahony. And again, it's Ballygunner that are tagging on the score and Loughrea are missing out. But look, I think there was one chance actually just after half time when you talk about goal chances. It was Johnny's pass into Cayman Killeen.
Mm.
And I think Stephen O'Keefe, of all the saves he made, that was a really important one. I think at the time it was only 2 minutes into the second half, and he was out really quick. And I know again Loughrea got a score off it because there was a free brought back. But look, Stephen O'Keefe, whatever about the saves, and as Willie said there, he's not going to be back from 20 yards, but his distribution is excellent. I think he it's a quick restart he's looking for. He's trying to get it into space. I think he found Peter Hogan in the first half. There was two Loughrea guys converging on Peter Hogan, and he nailed it, and they got a score out of it. So, like, for me, I think it was one thing is saving saving and keeping goals out, but his distribution is excellent, and I think he was a catalyst. Look, he got man of the match, but he's a settling presence inside the goals, and they are always looking to get it back to him, no matter where they are in the back. So yeah, I think definitely it's that free was one that would have got away, but there was loads of other things in the match that definitely would have helped Loughrea if they had to go a bit better.
I was listening after the game, Willie, to Tommy Kelly's interview. I thought he put it excellently, where he said, "We think we're mighty with our two county titles, and these Ballygunner boys have 12 county titles."
Yes, look, I suppose it's all relative too. Like, two county titles for Loughrea is a big achievement, and I think not to diminish that in any way, but yeah, when you are comparing it to the level of success that Ballygunner have had over the last 13, 14 years, and previous to that as well. So yeah, look, I thought, look, it was a great advertisement for hurling. I suppose, with Ballygunner producing the goods like that, everything had to go for Loughrea to the points we've discussed already, to get the win. But I suppose, look, Ballygunner are on the road a long time. The Mahonys have been unbelievable servants to both Waterford and Ballygunner, and a lot of top class individuals and families involved in the Ballygunner machine, which it is now. So yeah, look, again, hats off. You couldn't say anything else to anybody about their achievements. It's fantastic, and I suppose with the group of players that they have to win a second All Ireland, I think is testament to them, and they probably needed to as a group to. And again, they're not finished yet with the success that they've had underage, winning national fail under 15 last year, winning the majority of county titles in Waterford. They're not going away.
It probably comes back, Willie, to that efficiency piece for Loughrea. Obviously, they had the chances there, and unfortunately, a couple just tailed short and wide. But even if you look at it from a Loughrea perspective, running Nafina so close last year and to get to a club final and get to Croke Park, like they have made significant strides, it's safe to say, in the last 2 years.
Oh, definitely, and like that, particularly that Nafina match last year. The game, they had the game in their hands until obviously the last couple of plays, and I think, yeah, no, look, they're two county titles, fair play, but they won't be finished, or they won't be happy with that. Getting out of Galway then is the perennial, I suppose, obstacle to jump, because it is such a difficult championship to win. But I'm sure they'll be back, and I'm sure that again, if you look at the Ballygunner and the level of success they've had coming out of Waterford, 6 months for titles, they had won All Ireland until last Sunday, so they kept going, they kept knocking on the door, and they kept doing the right things as a club. And I think that's what Loughrea have to do now, is, I guess, continue to I suppose, focusing on the young players, player development, bringing those players through, giving them the experiences, and then I suppose looking to contest Galway and All Ireland titles in the future.
With it, James, they've obviously brought their supporters on an incredible journey this year. But if you look at it, it's obviously two in a row. Their under 20s, or yeah, under 20s running Norm Murray so close. There's plenty of talent coming through. If you even look at the Connacht Post primary semi-final this year, you have Rifles playing Bridges. So a lot of good work going on in Loughrea at the minute.
Yeah, there is. Look, there's huge work, and like, look, there's good numbers there, but that has to be managed as well, and they have really good people there involved. I know my son is playing with Cappy, and you'd see it there. Loughrea, Brian Mahoney is doing like really good work with the underage, and you'd see Johnny Maher there tipping around with them as well. Like, and they're they have good structures in place. They're filtering players through. I think it was really good to see. I suppose I've heard a lot about Gavin Maher. He's a really good hurler, and young Alan Kelly there. They both came on last weekend. I think they were the first two subs on for
Yeah.
them, and that's good to see as well. Like, and it's important to have a bit of everything involved in your squad. You need a bit of experience, but you also need youth. You need legs. You need lads that are enthusiastic and are willing to go to work every week. So I think definitely there's no fear of Loughrea. They're going to be really competitive next year. Obviously, they've had back to back. They're going to be not very. They're not going to be easy now to take down. And like a lot of their big players, like Kieran Hanrahan, Shane Morgan, Tiernan Killeen. Do you know what? They're all in their early 20s. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. So, look, I think, look, it's a testament to them. They're, as I said, they're filtering players through, but definitely the young players are getting a chance, and that's important. Like, you know, you need to have that constant flow of young players coming in.
How do you think they push it on now, Willie?
Well, like it's like everything. Without players, you can't do anything. So again, I suppose looking at the comments there on their under 20s last year and their young players coming through, Rayfields and Bridget's, obviously with a lot of Loughrea players there as well. So I think it's a case of managing those and making sure, I suppose, the coaching structure within the club is of a standard. Again, listening to comments on the people involved and the coaching structure that's there, they look in safe hands, and that's the big thing with hurling as regards you're as good as your last day, and it's a case of just really trying to drive home and bring players through to allow yourself to get back to the stage. So I think player development is a huge piece. I'm just after actually coming back from the Leinster Colleges semi final, and I suppose the importance of school hurling as a finishing school for a lot of the young players. And again, with Rayfields and Bridget's coming and producing good teams, that's important too to make sure that they have that link between their club activity in the club under 20s, but also the next step, which is schools hurling and into academies after that. So I think it's definitely around bringing players through and creating the coaching structure within the club.
Yeah, we'd just like to say a big well done to Loughrea. This year gave Galway hurling some great days out, and no doubt they'll be back again contending this year and into the season. But it's a well-deserved break now for a few weeks for some of the players, and obviously there'll be a good few Loughrea players now involved with Galway. If we talk about Galway, obviously they won the Walsh Cup at the weekend. But James, coming to you, who do you support this weekend? You're obviously living in Cappataggle a while, but originally a Tipp man.
Yeah, yeah. No, look, I suppose I am living in Cappataggle. Look, I'm a Tipperary man, to be honest with you. You can't. I was born and reared there, do you know. But look, I'm representing Cappataggle, so that's the jersey I have to put on. So, but when it comes to the national scene, look, I'd like to see Galway do well. Obviously, the lads I'm playing with the club are all Galway men, and it's good. Like, do you know, if Tipperary aren't going well, I'd like to see Galway going well. But look, when it comes to the day of both going against each other, I'd have to say I'd be rooting for Tipperary, definitely. Yeah.
Obviously, the weekend gone by, Willie, Galway winning the Walsh Cup. For some people, it might seem like something small, but I think it's actually an important step under Mihal and year two for Galway to pick up a bit of silverware like that.
Yeah, no, like, I think anytime you win is good. Actually, I met Mihal at a match on Sunday and I had a good chat with him about everything, and so yeah, no, I think it's important to get silverware on the table, particularly with young players. We saw the benefit of, although not winning Munster Championship last year in Tipperary, but actually competing and going at them and winning big matches and not losing other ones like Limerick. So I think it's important in the development of all players and making sure that you're getting these young players the opportunities to actually see can they perform. And we saw it last year with the league match, Tipp and Galway. Tipp came to Galway and Salt Hill and laid down a marker as regards and again it was in the muck and the dirt and the ball wasn't flying, but at the same time it was a competitive game and it drove Tipperary on as regards from a momentum perspective. So I think, look, yeah, to your point, last weekend, important that Galway got some silverware, but ultimately I think the big thing is to get game time into a lot of young players as well.
Just on it, Willie, and with your old national head hurling, pre-season competitions back this year. A lot of people obviously talking about it at the minute. Do you think they'll stay, or what do you predict happening? Because obviously the challenge match circuit has been big over the last few weeks.
Yeah, look, I crystal ball. I don't know, but I do know there's a lot of pressure on a certain amount of players, and you're looking at Fitzgibbon players playing tonight or last week, playing Welsh Cup last weekend or Munster League, going to play National League next weekend. It's a pretty hectic schedule, and maybe that's something we do need to look at. And really kind of, I suppose, allow a certain amount of players play a certain amount of time, because it is difficult for your players in colleges. Everybody will bite your arm off. Everyone will jump over whatever you ask them to jump over to get an opportunity to wear your county jersey, be it Tip, Galway, or wherever. And it's a very unfortunate situation that players are in, with, again, third level colleges trying to make sure that they're facilitating that unbelievable competition in the Fitzgibbon, but also playing weekends. So I think there has to be a little bit of, I suppose, innovative thinking around how we can actually best match both fantastic competitions, because, again, as I said, players will bite your hand off to get an opportunity to wear a county jersey or to be on a panel, but also the Fitzgibbon is a hugely important piece, I think, in the development of players, and giving players the opportunities to play a third level competition in wherever they are. I think shouldn't be underestimated, but they should be given full, I suppose, freedom to actually go and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think really if you look at the Galway and Tip team, a lot of young players involved in both, and it's going to be a hectic week if you look at the Fitzgibbon tonight and quick turnaround to Saturday.
Yeah, no, it's really difficult, and I just heard over the on the grapevine there over the last couple of days, little players being injured as regards and hamstrings and different muscular injuries from just, again, probably playing a lot of high intensity games at this time of the year on damp fields. So I think, look, it's not a great situation to be in. It's not a great situation being for colleges as regards, I suppose, fighting to get their players, and ultimately on the other side, intercounty senior managers trying to get the best teams out and create that momentum which we mentioned earlier. So it's a really difficult situation that we'll have to look at.
It's a hectic time, isn't it, for these young players? James obviously trying to make the breakthrough as well.
Yeah, obviously it is. Like, there's different weeks, there's different, like, the training load will go up and down. Look, it's not a kind of a scenario I've ever been in, we'll say, at an intercounty level, but I just know from talking to guys that have, like, you know, there's probably games in the league that managers that they're targeting, and then they're looking, saying, look, we need to get a block of work done. For younger players, look, I suppose, lads, you never really hear intercounty players complain about, like, obviously it's a huge commitment, but, like, they're playing games, they're happy to be playing games. Um, at times it can get overburdened, and then they're straight into, like, you take some of them Loughrea lads, like, they're hurling all year last year, right up until last weekend. They'll probably get a bit of a break, and then they're back into the intercounty scene again. So from that point of view, yeah, it is. It's a heavy load, and then you have, look, the longevity of players. Like, is that there as well? Is this training? It's very intense. I know everyone was looking at Tipperary last year and saying they'd done a huge block of work leading before the league, and they came back very, very fit. And I can only imagine. I was talking to a guy in Clare there lately. He said Clare are doing heavy training at the moment. So you just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But for young players, I suppose the attraction is, as Willie said earlier, they want to play for their county, and they're going to do what they need to do. It's up to management teams to manage their load, and that's it. Like, there's S&Cs, there's huge backroom teams there. I'm sure that they're doing their best to make sure that these players are going out in the field and that they're in their best condition to perform. So I think, look, at the end of the day, we have a split season. It's from now until next July. Someone's going to be crowned All Ireland champions, and there's a bit of silverware, the league, and we'll say the Leinster Championship and the Munster Championship to be won. And I think players are going to do it. They're going to do whatever they can to make sure that they get success along the way.
It's really important for Galway this weekend, isn't it? You consider what Tip did to them last year in the league, winning comfortably in the Gaelic grounds. It's a game they need to target this weekend and be competitive here.
Yeah, it is. But, like, I think the other side of it is look, they'll want to get a good start. Now, look, Tipperary, it's on in Thurles. They're All Ireland champions. Tipperary are going to want to get off to a good start and just lay down a bit of a marker. Um, I just seen squads released there the other day, and, like, Galway are going down the direction of Darren Morrissey's the captain, Gavin Lee is. So, like, there's a new, I suppose, experienced group now coming again. Darren was, I think he was captain of the minors in 17. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like he has that bit of experience, and like you have Dahi and Pádraig Mannion and Conor Cooney and them lads there, and you need that. Like so, I think from Galway's perspective is to get some new blood on the pitch, get some energetic young guys going. Let's see what they can do. It's a nice test for them. There's no pressure on Galway going into this. I think they're looking for a performance. They're looking to see, okay, what does this look like for 45, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, and then going down the home stretch, can we potentially maybe get some points on the board? But I think overall, look, Galway are in transition. I think people know that. But there's really good hurlers there, and look, just from playing against different players around the county, there is loads of potential. So I think it's just getting it out there on the field and just see where it takes them.
Yeah, I was actually only looking at the 2017 All Ireland winning squad last day, Willie, for Galway. Six players left. Uh, Dahi Burke, Pádraig Mannion, Cathal Mannion, Conor Whelan, Tom Monaghan was on the extended panel that year, and Conor Cooney. So it's safe to say with Galway, it is a real changing of the guard this year.
Yeah, no, and I think it has to be as regards you look at again. All Ireland champions tend to kind of set the trend for the year after, and I suppose you look at the young players that we did bring through last year: Robert Doyle, Sam O'Farrell, Dar McCarthy, Oisin O'Donoghue. Like four serious additions to the first 15 as regards and coming on in Oisin's case. But like I think it was again we had to, and where we were this time last year, we had to find new young players as regards to come through. But those young players have to be given the opportunity, and then you have to build that momentum as regards, as we saw starting in Salt Hill last year and right through. Again, we were all we were worried going into the Limerick match last year, first round of Munster Championship, going, how will this stand up, particularly after the league final the week before? And guys did stand up, and guys really kind of went at it, and Tipperary people connected to the team again, which was, I suppose, Liam's biggest achievement last year, that these players performed in his likeness, and I suppose they were very much a reflection of our leader, Liam Cal. So I think that was, it's outstanding. But to your point, this thing is always changing. I'm looking at the Tipp panel, and you're looking at young players coming: Paddy Creedon, Jack Leamy. You look at young Paddy McCormack. I know he was in the All Ireland panel last year. Really exciting. Cathal English, Father Sheehy's. Brian Hogan is back from travelling as well. So Kevin McCarthy as well. So like there's a lot of young players ready to make their name, and I think that's the nature of intercounty hurling now, that like Tipperary and Galway will always have players. It's a case of bringing through the right players with the right attributes, both on and off the field, physically and mentally, and really going after, I suppose, a team performance. But look, I'm really excited about the weekend. It's a chance for, I suppose, some of those young new panelists to put their hand up, like Dar McCarthy did in the first league match against who was in Cork and Thurles. He played really, really well, but Liam and Micheál will give the jerseys to players this weekend, and again, let the best pony jump the fence as regards, and really go after getting a performance and holding onto that jersey, because again, Liam and Micheál are looking to give the jerseys to some players.
This podcast is brought to you by Hoare Chartered Accountants. Hoare Chartered Accountants are based in Galway City and are a leading provider of audit, accountancy and taxation services. For more information, visit hoarecharteredaccountants.ie. Willie, do you think Galway want a reaction after what happened in the two games last year to Tipperary?
Possibly, yes, but you're like, Paul, every day you go out with a county jersey, and that's not cliche. It's genuinely, this is a short playing window for players, and you get a small opportunity. And when you're dealing with Tipp and Galway in this instance, like that opportunity and that chance is small. Like you get 1, 2, 3 days and you don't perform, there's a fair chance you mightn't get another jersey. So look, this is every day you go. I think, yes, Galway will want to lay down a marker as regards after last year, but I think that's across all hurling matches, that no matter what time of the year is, there's 5 or 6 teams in competition to get to All Irelands and All Ireland series, and every day you go against Tipp and Galway. That's a big rivalry, and that's somewhere that, it might be in the league this Sunday in a heavier Thurles, but at the same time, you're looking at what's coming down the track, and you're looking at that opportunity that you're being given as an individual. I think you have to grasp it with both hands, and both sets of teams on Saturday night will be really going after that.
James, you mentioned earlier on about Darren Morrissey being captain. Obviously, it seems like the right step. It seems like that sort of age group now is really going to push Galway on, and a few lads younger too. But do you see Darren Morrissey being trialled at fullback this year?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think, look, if you look at even Ballygunner at the weekend, like I think it was Ian O'Brien was full back. He's probably of the three, probably nearly the smallest. Do you know what I mean? The game has changed so much now. This big kind of full back, I suppose, Kilkenny have Hugh Lawler. But I think players need to be adaptable. I think if you look at even Tipperary last year, like Owen Connolly would have
Mm.
started full back, but he ended up half back line. Ronan Maher was able to pop into full back. I think you're kind of back six now. Managers are looking at teams and saying we need to get our matchups right. And I think it's that flexibility with players that they're looking for, do you know, and that on any given day they can mark a certain player or do a certain job. Yeah, look, Darren Morrissey is. I think he's more than capable of playing full back. He's a really good hurler. He's tight and he's quick as well. Like do you know, so most forwards, most teams are playing with two inside. Do you know what I mean? They're looking to play ball into space. So it's a different game in ways to what it was maybe 10 years ago. Um, and they're pulling a lot of their players out the field and they're just trying to deliver a good ball in. So I think from Mihal's perspective is he wants to get his spine right. 3, 6, midfield 11 and 14. I think he's looking to really shore up them positions. I seen Dahi played some of the games, some of the Walsh Cup games out of midfield. I know he's played midfield for Turlough Moore, so they're looking at that as well. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's just kind of that spine of the team first, and then we'll build out from there.
It seems like they're going to go with Gavin and six. They went with him last year. There, they played him in a couple of the World Cup games. If you look, maybe Gavin Lee at six, Darren Morrissey at three, Pork Mannion will be there somewhere. You'd imagine maybe even TJ Brennan after last year. But there's huge opportunities then for players who've come in this year. I thought Killian Trayers was really good against Offaly. Keane Daniels is really building on an impressive club championship. Even Joshua Ryan and Sean Murphy as well. So there's big opportunities here now for a couple of young lads this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like and look, just Joshua Ryan was very good against Cork. Actually, I know they played Cork down in Cork last year in the league. He
Mm.
was really good. Do you know, and these guys are getting stronger. They have a year under their belt. I think Keane Daniels was definitely someone we played against him last year in the championship. He was excellent at centre back. He's a really good hurler. He has a bit of size as well, and I think that's important too. But look, Gavin is a fine hurler. He had a really good club championship again. I think they're they're going with him. I'd say at six. It looks like they are, and I think that's the right thing to do. I think you have to, I suppose, stick with players at times. I think Liam Cal would have done it, with Tipperary from 2024. I think you have to. That's how you get confidence into lads when they know their management is behind them. And I think, look, at the end of the day, if you were to talk to a Tipperary person at the end of 2024, were Tipperary going to win the All Ireland in 2025? The majority would have said no. At this level, you have to have, I suppose, you have to be really fit and you have to have good hurlers on the pitch and you need a bit of luck along the way as well. Do you know? And like Galway, I think Galway's biggest thing this year is get some new players, some players that got game time last year, get them to fit in and get an improvement in them and go after a Leinster title, really and truly. I think they just want to solidify themselves in the league.
Mm.
But look, as I said, it's they're in transition. There'll be mistakes along the way. It's not going to be perfect. But I think, look, Galway people need to get behind the team and see that they're going to be competitive. Look, Aaron Island, Jason Rabbit, these are really good young hurlers, and people should be excited about that as well.
Uh, Particularly, Willie, you look at the league in the last 2 years, Tipperary obviously getting to the final last year, Clare the year before winning it. It does seem if you can get this momentum early on in the year and continue it, you're obviously at an advantage. But the way the condensed season is, if you nearly struggle in the league, it is hard to get that momentum back then coming into the championship.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think it is. It's just look, it's really important just to, I suppose, establishing the players that you think are going to be given the jersey number one, but also that you think are going to be longer term in the team. You look at again the leagues for Tipperary last year. I think we built a lot of momentum, as we said. But also got a lot of game time into new players, and there's a balance between, yes, you want to create that momentum, but you also and not lose games, but you also want to blood players. And again, the 4 or 5 players that are referenced there were all given loads of game time last year across the league, starting with the Galway match right through, and that does give confidence to players as regards. I think with Tipperary last year, like I certainly recognise that we had a lot of really good players, and you just need that to get on that roll. You need to get confidence. You need to get just to start really kind of, I suppose, allowing these quality young players that have won minor All Irelands, that have won twenties, that are playing with high level Fitzgibbon teams. Galway are the very very same, and it's a case of just, I suppose, giving certain players their head the weekend from a Galway perspective, letting them play, finding out, yeah, this guy can go at this level or not. And if not, okay, let's go again with them next week and see can they develop in, because there was 2 or 3 Tip players last year. I was watching the couple of league matches going, Genie Mac, is this? Yeah, I don't know. I'm unsure. I don't know. But obviously Liam saw something in them. They got 2, 3, 4 games. They continued to get the jersey. So like, yeah, there was something that he saw no more than Micheál will see, and his management team. They see these players every night as opposed to just games. But as I said to you, I'm just really excited about this as regards to see what team he picks, first of all, from a Tipperary perspective, to see what new players are in. It's an exciting time as regards, but again, not forgetting the depths of despair we were in this time last year, and realising, look, this can turn very, very quickly. So I think it's important to recognise where we are. To your point earlier, I think you said there was 7 Galway players from the 17 team that were on the
Six, yeah,
are on the panel. 6, sorry, the
yeah,
six,
six,
16
yeah,
Tipperary, the 6 Tipperary players from the 16 team on the panel. I was just doing a count on it there. So
yeah,
that's this thing turned, this thing changes, and at the same time, that's nearly 10 years ago as well. So you'd expect it to
yeah.
be in that ballpark. But I think again, shackles off. Micheál and Liam have to be brave, as they are, and pick good young players to see, can they find, I suppose, the pieces that weren't there in Galway's case last year, but were at Tipperary.
Is Dahi Burke at midfield something you could see, Willie?
I don't know. Like, yes, because like, who would have said Willie Connor was going to play a wing back in an All Ireland final last year, and Mark Decky Dalton? Like, I certainly wouldn't. And again, it's testament. I don't know, Connor Martin, our centre forward from the under-20s last year. He's played all the pre-season matches corner back. So Robert Doyle was a corner forward becoming an all-star cornerback last year. So I think it's really understanding the players that you have, and the best positions that you can get something out of them. Alan Tynan played wing back against Kilkenny a couple of weeks ago in Temple 2, and I did very well. I know he's injured now, but things like that really excite me as regards its positions, or the traditional position of he's a centre forward or he's a full forward that maybe we had 10 or 15 years ago is certainly gone. So I think, yeah, Dahi Burke could do a job. Big, athletic player, able to get around the field, able to hurl. Definitely, why not?
James, if you're talking then nearly about a Galway forward line, obviously you're going to have Conor Whelan and Carl Mannion there, and Brian Kincannon. Will Evan Island come back into it? And then if you start talking about some of the young talent, Paddy McCarthy the last year, he's really applied himself well. Darren Erie, they both sort of bring pace to half forward line. Jason Rabbit, and if you start looking at maybe some of the younger players then inside, Aaron Island, Kieran Lean, Declan McLaughlin, even Colin Malloy last year, there has to be really excitement about some of Galway's forwards options this year.
Yeah, and one big one there is Rory Burke. Like, he
Yeah.
was absolutely, he had a super season, club season last year. He was excellent.
Even if you look at Oisin Lohan back to last year before he got injured, started
This
really
is
well.
it, like, and by all accounts, Oisin Lohan is going quite well. And he's like, he has a big presence again. Do you know? So I think there's a nice sprinkle. Kieran Lean was excellent again for Crowell on their run to a county semi-final. again, he's a young guy. I think he's 18, 19 years of age. Do you know?
They're playing with Presathenroy and
Yeah, there
yeah,
you go. Like, and he was their marquee forward last year. Do you
yeah,
know? So, and like you're going to have Darren Shaughnessy going in there, Anthony Burns probably. Do you know? So, and Tiernan is going to be in there as
yeah,
well, obviously. And I think actually Tiernan Killeen was very really good for Loughrea this year. Do you know? And they were they were heading for the exit door against Claren Bridge, and he put the shoulder to the wheel and got them over the line. Do you know? Um, so it is really like Colin Malloy got a great goal against Tipperary. He just needs space, and his touch is excellent. And again, like they're all good lads, and like Colin Killeen there at midfield. And just on that, like I think it was crazy at the weekend that he didn't get off until like Saturday or Friday night or something like that, a day and a half before an All Ireland final. Do you know? Like that does have an effect on a young player. Like, um, but look, he got to play on Sunday, and that was the main thing. But again, another really good young player. So I think, look, the ingredients are there, and it's just about getting it together. Like you have Jason Rabbit and Aaron Island. They've showed so much at underage level. It'll be great to see them to put their best foot forward as well. And again, they're two different players. Do you know, Aaron is really good inside, and 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 Jason is going to be a huge puck out option. Do you know? So I think definitely they're there. It's just about knitting it together, but it's going to take a bit of time. Like, and look, there's a lot to be said. Conor Cooney has been probably the best club hurler in Galway over the last 6 to 10 years. Like, he's been outstanding, and his leadership is hugely vital to that setup. Um, and then Galway are going to need they need everyone. Like, but look, it's about developing players. It's about getting them on the field. And I think, look, there's no better management team there around to do that. But as I said, there's probably going to be bumps along the road. But like, we can see how quick you can turn. Willie said it there. Like at this time last year, you were kind of looking in there from a Tipperary perspective, saying, "Where are we going here? Like, and what's going to happen?" And this comment was going around about Liam Cal. His teams were too fit in the league, and that they were going to peter out come championship. And it was the total opposite. Like they grew in confidence and they excelled as the year went on. So, look, I think look, the All Ireland Championship needs teams like Galway. They need all the teams in Munster, and we have a great brand, and we need all our big teams hurling really well. And it just, filling stadiums, and it's look, it's really it's something really to look forward to.
we've talked there about possibly some of the Galway players that could feature on Saturday evening. But when it comes to Tipperary, Willie, and obviously you know Liam Cal quite well, do you think Liam is going to go as strong as possible this weekend, or how do you see it?
I think he's going to go as strong as possible for what he has now or what he feels he has now. I think again he's not afraid and has shown that he's not afraid to blood players. This time last year was backs to the wall for him and everybody involved in Tipperary, and they came out with backing certain individuals, and it's after working. So yeah, I think so. I think one or two players that I haven't mentioned there, Joe Egan from McCarthy is a really good, strong under-20 player from last year. Paddy McCormick has been mentioned. Cathal Riley played cornerback in the All-Ireland under-20 last year. Really good player. Stephen Tobin from the Swan. So I don't think Liam is picking these fellas to leave on the panel and to see what happens. I genuinely think that he sees value in anyone that he's added to the panel. I think he will go with everything he has on Sunday as regards, and I'm thinking Paddy Cregan and Jack Leamy have got a lot of minutes in the pre-season competition, so they could be inside, while also trying to, I suppose, work back in the McGraths and the players, some of the other guys that played last year. So I think he will. I think he has plenty, or seems to have plenty of cards to pick from as regards with a lot of those younger players that have a lot of quality. But I'm just looking forward to seeing what team he picks, and they will be the best Tipperary players at this given moment to represent our jersey and to maybe hold on to that jersey as Liam sees it. But yeah, it's really exciting, and I can't wait to get to Thurles on Saturday night to actually see the game. I just from a Galway perspective, and I went to the colleges All Ireland last year, and obviously Aaron Ireland was only coming back from injury, and Jason Rabbitt's a fine player. I was actually up in Athenry the other day and had a good chat with Cathal Moore, just generally around hurling and everything else, and what's coming. And I think it's an exciting time for Galway hurling as well. I think there's a lot of really good young players coming through, and no better man than Micheál to manage that transition through. So. Look, Galway, Tipperary always have hurlers. I guess just getting the best blend and the best mix and creating confidence within your unit, and then getting breaks along the way to allow yourself build that momentum as we said. But look, really exciting time for I think both counties. Like with the All Ireland in July, it seems like a long time ago since we're actually talking about hurling. I know obviously with club activity going on, but it's a really really exciting time for anyone that loves hurling.
How will you feel as Tipperary men potentially maybe Galway giving Tipperary a guard of honour this weekend?
Jeez, I didn't know they were going to. Is that what
Well,
happened?
I don't know are they, but they usually do for All Ireland champions. It'll be interesting, will
Yeah,
they?
I actually, would you believe now? I find that very motivational for the team that's giving the guard of honor, if that makes sense. Like if I was a Galway involved in the Galway team, I'd be going, yeah, let's give Tip a guard of honor, and then let's shove it into him as regards as the game goes on, because give the All Ireland champions the respect they deserve, but at the same time, God, we're going to have a cut off you tonight. So I think it's if it's a guard of honor given by Galway, I think that will stir something in Galway, man, that would be the same if it was the other way around. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I know usually it does happen for the first game of the league, so it'll be interesting to see there. But James, as we're talking here, it's perfect for Galway in one way to under the lights and terrorists. They're going to the All Ireland champions and really be able to tell where they're at after this Saturday.
Yeah, it is. Look, at the end of the day, it's Galway just want to put in a good performance. I think definitely they'll be happy if they come out there. They'll be delighted, I'd say, if they come out there with a couple of pints or even a pint. But it's, as Willie said there, it's just to get a crack at it. Like they're coming, they're coming from two different angles. Tipperary are going in there with so much confidence from winning the All Ireland. They want to show everyone, look, this is what we're about. And then you have Galway, they're coming in there, and they're just kind of they'll be wanting to maybe quieten people and just say, look, we're in the mix here, and we've some really good players. And I think, look, hopefully it's a good game. You don't know what's going. Look, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes from a training perspective. I think, look, both teams, look, as Willie said there, both managers could have an idea tonight, this evening, what teams they're going to play. They could play Fitzgibbon matches, and they could get injuries. Do you know what I mean? And it all changes. So I think, look, both managers are just going in. They just want to get the ball rolling on the league and see that improvement every week. And I think if they see that, no more than any club team around the country, is the league is there to get lads up to a certain standard of fitness, to get their hurling up and get ready for championship. And I think that's what both managers do. And if you can win, if you can get into a semi-final or a final along the way, then you're in bonus territory. You know, it's extra competitive games. So I think, look, for Galway this weekend, it's just get up there. Let's get stuck in, see where it takes us. Let's see how players perform against a really good team, and then and come out there and reevaluate and get ready for the next game.
Yeah, even if you're looking from Galway's two opening fixtures, it's Tipperary this week, and then it's going to be Cork a week later in Pearse Stadium under the lights. So a nice way for them to start the league, Willie.
Yeah, look, but again, that's what you want. That's what you want to be playing. You want to be playing, you want to be playing Tip. You want to be playing Tip this weekend in Thursday. You want to be playing Cork. You want to be playing the big teams as regards to see where they are and see what's in fellas as regards and whether they rise to the challenge or shrink into their boots as regards in certain instances. I also think, look, like the cohort of older players that we have in particular, and I suppose just talking from a Tipperary perspective, like the John McGraths, the Seamus Kennedys, like these fellas are just unbelievable servants to what we're, again, Willie Connors, like the condition Jake Morris was in from start to finish in the league last year. Like a lot of league matches last year. When it did come to the crux of our season last year in the All Ireland semi-final against Kilkenny,
it was Jason Ford and dug us out of it. He scored a point under the Hogan stand that, things like that really aren't kind of highlighted afterwards. But like, the experience within that group, no more than Galway, like it's important just to get the blend right and to hold on to the fellas that I suppose are really kind of go into the trenches with as those individuals did last year. But no, look, really excited. It's such a competition in nice regards for places, for jerseys. Can you stand into it? Can you perform in Thurles? And no, look, just really excited. And who are new guys? So there's a lot of different feelings and a lot of different scenarios. But at the same time, for Liam and me all, just to see what they have and see what's in a fella. And I think that's a really exciting thing for hurling places like Tipp and Galway.
James, just on your clubmate Damien Joyce, he's obviously gone back in as part of the backroom team. He was obviously there under Henry previously. What's he bringing?
Look, I suppose he was involved in 2017, in the backroom team when Galway won the All-Ireland. Look, Damien is a really good guy, and he knows exactly what he's about. He's very driven, and he'll bring a huge amount of, I suppose, wealth of knowledge, I suppose, to the team and to the setup. Like Joycey is, he's soldiered a long time, and he has a lot of experience. And like, I think he is Cappataggle, like from where they were, he has been a huge part in that building of the whole club, I suppose. So look, it's great to see him back in there. And he's definitely a big addition, I think, especially from a tactical point of view, and an analysis point of view. I think he'll leave no stone unturned. And like, look, you want a guy in a team meeting to give a speech, you want to be listening to Damien Joyce. Like, he'd have you ready for, I suppose, ready for war. Do you know what I mean? So I think, look, definitely it's a good move, and I think there's a great relationship there over the years built up with Micheál and Noel Larkin and the lads. So I think it's good for Galway. And look, you need good people. It's all about good people. I think Liam Cahill has surrounded himself by good people as well, and there's mistakes going to be made along the way. It's not going to be perfect, but if you stick together and tweak a few things, and people are open to that, then you're definitely going to see success at some stage.
Just before we finish on this game, Willie, how do you think it'll go at the weekend?
I think I don't know, Paul, being honest about it, because again, I think we were starting last year before the match and how will it go. Sure, look, it'll be a couple of points either way, and I hope Tipperary perform. But I genuinely think it's the same. I think it'll be more competitive this year. I think Galway will have not a kind of, they'll have a reason to actually come down. And again, you said we won that match very, very well last year in Pearse Stadium. We won the All-Ireland semi or the quarter final in Limerick. So I think there's I think it's going to be competitive. Back to your point on Joycey, sorry, and I went to college with Joycey. I won 2 Fitzgibbon with Joycey over the years, and to echo James's sentiment, like, building a setup around good people is what you want to do. Liam Cahill, I suppose, did that last year. Yeah, we got the breaks and along the way, but a lot of good people involved. You couldn't get a better person than Damien Joyce. Damien Joyce is just top operator, top man from top to bottom, be it across life, across family, across club. Damien Joyce has done it, and he's one of those top individuals. And I suppose James said in a meeting, you want someone to stand up and say a few words. You do, but you want someone to live the values and behave in a certain way. That's Damien Joyce. He's absolutely maximising himself all the time as regards around himself and his own playing career, and now brought into being involved with Galway. So I think, look, everybody involved this weekend from both sides will just want to really go at this, really see where we're at, win or lose. I think it's very, very difficult to call. It depends on what teams are picked. It depends on, I suppose, who's picked and how they go on Saturday night. So look, I think both managers looking for that performance and trying to get something out of it, and trying to really kind of, again, for the Tipperary players that did well last year, Liam is looking for a continuation of that. See, can we continue with performances and continue showing what they did on the field last year when the hurdles were to be jumped. So I think it's a 50-50 game. Genuinely don't know what will happen. To James's point earlier as well, no one knows what's going to happen if it's given matches tonight or whatever else. So again, wait till the teams are picked. Let's assess it then as regards and see. But I think it's exciting for both counties as regards, and there'll be a lot of younger players being given a shot.
How do you see it going, James?
I thought Willie answered that question. Look, I suppose, to be honest with you, I depending on what teams go out, and I think Tipp would be disappointed now if they couldn't win their first game in the league on Saturday evening. I do. I actually think Tipperary will win by a couple of points. I think it'll be a competitive game. I think it's no reflection on any team, whoever wins, loses, or whatever. I think it's not going to define their season, but I think on where both teams are coming from, I just think there's probably a bit more momentum with Tipperary. I think they're coming in there as All-Ireland champions. They're not going to want to lose their first game in their backyard. So I said, look, I think Tipperary will win by a couple of points.
Just something you mentioned there, James, before I finish. Obviously, Cullen Killeen's red card, they were delighted and everything to get him to play, but you were sort of, I suppose, thinking in the lead up to the game, how could maybe his head not be a bit of a mess, because he goes from thinking he's not going to play to then thinking he plays. And even psychologically, I'd say there was challenges there to sort of get yourself up, because 2 days before it you thought you weren't playing, and obviously they were delighted for it to pass with the DRA, but it wasn't ideal preparation going into an All-Ireland final.
No, to be honest with you, like I just think, like, okay, this guy is 19 years of age. Do you know, you're trying, no matter what way it is, you're trying to put yourself in the best position that you deliver the best performance you can. Okay. And you're leading into a massive game, and he's still wondering on Thursday evening before the match. Like, I can say Loughrea more than likely trained really hard, really well, 3 weeks for the 3 weeks after the match against Slaughtneil. Then you're tapering it off the week of the game. Do you know what I mean? To have that freshness going into it. I think, in fairness to their management team, they've managed it really well. Like, they did a 7-week break between the first game and then the Slaughtneil game, and then they did a month to the All-Ireland final. Now, look, it's the same for Ballygunner or whatever. Do you know, I suppose there could have been maybe shorter between the Munster final. But at the end of the day, like, the decision, I think, should have been made at least 10 days to 2 weeks before the match, and give the player the best chance he can to be right. Do you know, and it's the mental side of it as well, to be right and say, yes, I'm in here now for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to really, and he's just focusing on just playing the best game he can play. At the end of the day, he found out, he didn't know last week on the Thursday evening that he was starting, that he was eligible to play on Saturday or Sunday. And I think it's, yes, he and just from listening to podcasts and interviews from different Loughrea people, that he was training really well, but it's still in the back of his mind. And it's still an All-Ireland final. And he might never get the chance ever again. And I think it's very, like, I look back, I played an intermediate All-Ireland club final in 2015. And, you know, and I'd love to give anything to get back to Croke Park again. It might never happen, and probably won't, because I'm coming near the end of my playing time. But at the end of the day, like, you just don't know. Like, you can win county final, and then you mightn't win anything for 10 years. And that's just the way it goes. But I think, look, it's maybe something that needs to be looked at, but that's my opinion. I think, to be fair, I think it could have been decided a lot sooner. But look, hey, listen, at the end of the day, it is what it is. No,
How did you see how it unfolded over the last couple of weeks, Willie? Obviously, Loughrea put a lot of work into it, and it may be hard to avoid it being a distraction in one sense, particularly when you look, obviously, for Cullen, he's two brothers on the team, so it's probably hard for them to avoid it as well.
Yeah, look, it's a difficult one, because, like that, if you're looking to prepare for another final, you talk about it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and yeah, you might get back there, but nothing guaranteed. So I think no matter how good the preparation was with the Loughrea management and the young fellow himself, I think it's very difficult to prepare if you don't know before Thursday night. So yeah, maybe that's a solution as regards that it's dealt with 2 weeks beforehand, and that decision is abided by. So look, a very unfortunate position, very unfortunate as regards the way the process dragged and the actual process that was involved in it. But at the same time, look, I think it's important that yeah, it's maybe lessons to be learned around it and deal with it earlier, be it good or bad for the player in that 2 week period before it, and let him know or not. And but yeah, dragging to Thursday night is not the most ideal of situations.
Yeah, not ideal for him, all right, but great in one sense that he did get to line out
Yeah.
for Loughrea in that club final at the weekend. That's all we do have time for on today's show. Obviously, go in Tipperary Saturday evening, 7 o'clock in Thurles live on RT as well for supporters who can't make it. But Willie and James, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, man.